ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stefan de Velde. I'm the Dean of the Rotterdam School of Management. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you all to this launch of the Erasmus Energy Forum. And the aim of this forum is to bring together everyone who's interested in discussing the future of energy business, including academics, corporate executives, policymakers, and even consumers. And I would like to end my welcome with something that Wolf said to me the other day when we discussed today's program. There are endless opportunities in this world.
Hello, my name is Wolf Ketter. I'm the director of the Erasmus Center for Future Energy Business at the Rotterdam School of Management. The center is a research group which consists of researchers from computer science, economics, behavioral research, and electrical engineering. Many scholars and researchers agree that the area of cheap oil and abundant fuel research is coming to an end. And energy markets are going through a major transition.
So now I have the pleasure to introduce Alexander van Hoefelen. She's the Deputy Mayor for Sustainability of the City of Rotterdam, and she will give the opening address. Alexander, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's talk a bit about Rotterdam. Basically, the image that we have is that we are an industrial city, not a very clean and healthy place. We are basically the biggest port in Europe, but it's not only a port that has an enormous load of traffic and transport going through it, it's also a port that has written a vision that says we should transform the port of Rotterdam from a port based on fossil fuels to a port based on bioenergy. And that should not be reached in, let's say, the end of this century, but somehow in 2030. And we set basically two targets. One is to reduce our CO2 levels by 50%, and the other is to make sure that we have our city 100% climate adapted by 2025. And that means that we just basically want to do everything to keep our feet dry, and that is a larger challenge, as I just explained, than you might think.
The new German energy policy, the media like to call this energy policy Energiewende, or change of energy policy. It is not really a big change, or let's say this wording is slightly exaggerated. Energy policy is an issue that is extremely important for us, and it's, I think it's a challenge, of course. It's a challenge what is going on in Germany and what we are trying to do. But life without challenges and without risks is boring. And I think, as some of my Dutch friends keep telling me, if anybody can make it, the Germans can. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, quick about the vision about the center. What do we want to do? What is unique about the center? So our vision is really enabling the robust, intelligent, efficient, and sustainable energy network of the future. So how can we help the businesses around the world to be more competitive in a new energy landscape, and especially in a shift? And we are right now in a shift of the traditional vertical integrated grid to a more decentralized grid. And a lot of these business models are changing, and I think from a business school standpoint, we can give a lot of advance and advice here. So here about energy debacles. So these are the things we want to avoid, right? But sadly, we have seen quite a few over the last years. I mean, if a tsunami would have hit a wind park, well, then we would have just rebuilt the wind park, right? And not hundreds of thousands of people would need to leave their homes. So this is things we are also looking in how to facilitate the infrastructure.
I key thing with consumers and consumer behavior is that what people tell you they actually think is not often what they actually think, and it's definitely not what they decide to go for in the end. And this gap between attitudes and actual behavior is very dominant and of key importance for issues related to renewable energy, for instance, because this represents a transition from traditional thinking to actually new ways of dealing with energy. This is attitude change, and this is absolutely fascinating to see how people are actually coping with these different changes and all the challenges they face.
So how do you see, how is E.ON handling the challenges of the prosumer, so the future customer who cannot just consume but also produce? So it's like kind of the web where we had web 1.0, now we have web 2.0, so we have energy 2.0 now, and out of a sudden we have people who also produce. And now, as Andreas pointed out, if you have many of them, out of a sudden they have quite some power, literally. And how is E.ON, as a large energy provider, reacting to that change and facilitating that change?
Well, in fact, the prosumer is already there. It's a matter of business case for the customers to step into it. So most of the customers are still consumers, of course. However, the fact that there is a decentral generation changes the rules of the game substantially. So far, and since 100 years, since electrification, we have learned that electricity comes from a large-scale power plant, is transported through a grid, and the customer just takes it off and consumes it whenever he likes, partly. So a very unidirectional picture. It has tremendous impact on the whole organization, on IT systems and processes, on invoices, on this and that, not only on technology. That now comes the prosumer, that suddenly the people who took off power since 100 years actually feed something back. This is a challenge organizationally for anybody participating in the market.
So thank you all for your initial statements. We talked a little bit about that there are many different stakeholders being involved in this whole transition period. How do you see the orchestration of this network? What can be done to facilitate this transition, and how can we facilitate the orchestration? And who should be, if at all, should there be a network orchestra, or should there be a decentralized organization system? How do you envision this? Maybe start with Siemens, because you're doing all this technology infrastructure, right? So maybe.
One of the statements I can make is smart grid is not a goal on itself, but it's a means. It's a means to make a sustainable future possible.
Thank you so much. Let's give it up for our panel. Thank you.